What are the three questions facing the Michigan Wolverines as they head into spring practice? We're going to talk about it right after the stinger. Hail to the victors valiant. Hail to the conquering heroes. Hail, hail. It's Felix Sharpe at Sharpe Review for CampusToCan.com. If you like this video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button so you never miss any of the content that we're dropping. And if you don't know what a C2C league is and you're a college football fan, you got to get in the game. You're playing college fantasy every single week against league mates, and then you get to roster those players: Travion Henderson, Tyler Buckner, Nicholas Singleton, Drew Aller, through the life of their football careers. Because once they leave college, they join an NFL team. 2 leagues in 1. Quick plug for C2C. Let's talk about Michigan. Having one of the best seasons in years last year. Of course, beating Ohio State, getting to the playoff bid. That season launches Josh Gaddis to be the offensive coordinator at Miami. So we start with the offense. The first question, of course, is J.J. McCarthy going to be the starter? Now, Cade McNamara got the nod in 2021, but McCarthy, coming from IMG, a 5-star quarterback, the number 6 QB in the 2020 class. But McCarthy got 30 snaps against Georgia. He threw 17 passes against Georgia. He had only thrown double-digit passes once the entire season before getting to the playoff. And that was against Indiana, where he played just 24 snaps. Now, J.J. McCarthy adds athleticism, a different type of arm talent, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be the starter under Jim Harbaugh. I went back and looked at the dynamic between one Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick in 2012. Colin Kaepernick, a rookie in 2011. It wasn't until Alex Smith went down with a concussion in Week 10 that Kaepernick was fully implemented as the starter. In that season, of course, the 49ers went to the Super Bowl. So Jim Harbaugh can be very, very stubborn about these things. I don't expect for McCarthy to be the starter in 2022. If anything, he's probably going to be in a timeshare with Cade McNamara. Why wouldn't he be when Cade McNamara led them to that season, led them to the playoffs, led them to their first win over Ohio State in years? So I think that people thinking that J.J. McCarthy is going to be implemented as a starter, I think they're going to be wrong. But we're going to see in the spring with how snaps are divided with that first team. Question 2. Is the offense going to evolve under the new offensive coordinator, new co-offensive coordinators? I mentioned already that Josh Gaddis made the jump to Miami. Coming in are Sharon Moore, who has been a graduate assistant at Louisville, Central Michigan, and then the tight ends coach at U of M and offensive line coordinator between 2018 and 2021. But it's Matt Weiss. Matt Weiss, who's coming, was with Jim Harbaugh's brother John with the Baltimore Ravens, who is thought to be kind of leading the charge, even though he and Moore are identified as co-offensive coordinators. Anyway, Matt Weiss's claim to fame is having two teams that ran for over 3,000 yards with the Baltimore Ravens, including the team that rushed for the most yards in NFL history. That philosophy meshes with what Jim Harbaugh wants to do, even with top-flight quarterback play. Andrew Luck played at Stanford from 2009 to 2011, and the Stanford Cardinal under Jim Harbaugh had 506 attempts, 535 attempts, and 518 attempts, 2009, 2010, and 2011. Jim Harbaugh is going to run the ball. 2022, last year, they ran the ball 575 times. The reason I make this a question is because, yes, Michigan had the team in the season that it did last season, but in order to continue to recruit on the offensive side of the ball, to get your skill position players, your quarterbacks, your wide receivers, you've got to be able to throw the ball. and able to beat an Ohio State consistently, and able to beat an Alabama consistently. You have to develop quarterback play, and I don't think that Jim Harbaugh's philosophy necessarily does that. And I don't think that that's going to change in 2022. Under Moore, under Weiss, they're going to run the ball. And even if J.J. McCarthy was implemented as a starter, you can very much expect him to be handing the ball off the majority of the game. So you're not going to be able to recruit, your offensive skill position players. Will the offense evolve under the new offensive coordinators? I don't think so. Question 3. And this is the most important thing, how does Michigan replace both David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson? Now, those two accounted for 25 sacks. There are 16 returning defensive linemen and interior and defensive linemen and defensive ends. And collectively, that group generated 6.5 sacks in 2022. Those two played a lot of snaps for Michigan. And so where are the sacks going to come from? You've got Maisie Smith, a big defensive tackle who's returning 2.5 sacks last year. 4-star freshman Mason Graham will be there. Taylor Upshaw in 2022 had 2.5 sacks. 4-star defensive end Derek Moore will be there. A 3-star TJ Guy got playing time last year. Listen, Michigan dominated last season because of its defensive line, because Aiden Hutchinson was a beast, because when they got to Ohio State, that in that snowy game they could harass C.J. Stroud. I'm looking around here, and of the players that are returning, I just really, really wonder where the pressure is going to come from. Quite frankly, I don't see where it's going to come from. So let me know in the comments. Do you think that the defensive line getting pressure on the quarterback could potentially be a problem in 2022? Michigan's spring game is set for April 3rd. Is that right? April 3rd, and they take on September 3rd, Colorado State. All right. Those are the 3 questions for Michigan. Let me know in the comments, where does Michigan need to improve this spring? What areas are you looking at? Do they get curb stomped by Ohio State next year because they can't rush the passer? All right. Peace.